Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are Go for Grundy. I am Grundy, and with me, as always, is my buddy Jay. How's it going,
Hi.
Jay?
What do you got to piss me off today, Greg?
Well, today, Justin, we are going to be reading some "Am I the Asshole" on Reddit.
Those are fun.
They are fun, and we're going to be giving our judgment.
Am
And
I for not lying about why I could not remove my headscarf? For not lying. This has a lot of rewards.
a lot of awards, like an
Awards, yeah, excuse
obscene
me,
amount
awards.
of awards.
It's got 22,500 upvotes. Am I the asshole for not lying about why I could not remove my headscarf? I don't think I'm almost
So,
never.
what's your prediction for this? Am I the asshole for not wanting to remove my headscarf? I'm going
If
to
you,
go with
if
no.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if you're not lying, it's very rare that you're going to be an asshole for not lying. I mean, like there are very rare. It's very rare that the situation will come where you're going to be like where the non thing to do would be to lie. Like, you know what I mean? Like most of the time, telling the truth is always going to be a good thing. I have not been able to sleep over this, so I made a Reddit just for a judgment. Thanks. I, 24 female, am a bridesmaid for one of my closest friends, Jackie, 24 female. I've been so excited to help. I was in charge of the bridal shower, the games, decorations, menu. I left the guest list to Jackie's sister.
Sounds good,
Dude,
right? So far, so
yeah,
good.
yeah, she's a good friend. She's excited for her friend's wedding and she wants to help. So, due to religious reasons, I wear a headscarf. I love and am proud of it. In the group chat with other bridesmaids, I was talking about how excited I am to attend a girls only event. I recently dyed my hair and wanted to show it off. I even paid extra to ask for a girls only staff that day. Okay, so for religious reasons, obviously she's not able to expose her hair to when there's men around, so she wants to show her hair off. Cool. Okay, day of. As guests arrive, I realize that one of them is Tori, 26 female. I know Tori as a family friend of Jackie's, but the few times I met her, it was before her transition to female. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, that's we're kind of playing with the the ontology of masculine, feminine, the and where that relates to um, religious belief and practices. Okay, I was unaware of it, but I was aware of it, but unaware she was coming to the shower. I don't mind at all, of course, and she's a lovely person, but I decided to keep my scarf on. Okay, so she's playing it safe. She's and which is, I mean, she's not going to impede on anyone else being there. Um, for her beliefs, she's gonna, she wanted to show her hair, and she's, so far she's not, in my opinion. Obviously. As everyone's eating later, I'm passing by the tables to make sure everyone's good, and one of the bridesmaids mentioned that they hadn't gotten to see my hair, and they'd wanted to see the change in person. I tried to dismiss it at first, or say I'll show you later, but the other girls at the table got curious. I got uncomfortable, and I just said, "Oh, I'm actually not really comfortable taking it off right now." When pressed as to why, I said there's guests I don't feel comfortable taking it off in front of. There was a collective "oh," and I thought, cool, that's over. But one girl got aggressive and asked if I'm referring to Tori. Oh, this girl's the asshole.
I
I'm
found the white
sh-
liberal woman. Like,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
anyway, like I said, I don't want to be divisive or I don't want to
Oh,
be
I'm happy to say that.
again. I don't want to be. I'm not trying to fucking be divisive or grift. I don't want to be one of those guys that's just like fucking, on one end of the extreme that's just pumping shit up and just widening the gap at the middle. We're all coming from the same place ultimately. It's just
Grift.
mm, well,
Join the dark side.
we had some coffee brand coffee for you.
Yeah, oh yeah, I want
Um,
some of that coffee brand coffee. That stuff sounds like magic.
she's loud, and other tables turn to look. Yeah, this girl's an. I don't care. Sorry, excuse me. I don't answer. The girl asks if I wear one around men, so I say yes. She says there's no men here, so clearly you should take it off. I tell her again that I'm keeping it on. Good for her.
Yeah, good for her.
Another
Tell me to take my
no,
hat
and
off.
you know what? And you know what? Just like the way that she's making this sound, I mean, assuming that what she's saying is an accurate representation of what took place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this person's obviously trying to
Looking
start
to start a
something.
fight. She's trying to
Yeah,
start a
because
confrontation for no
she's
reason where
saying
there is no problem. There's no quarrel here.
she's saying
Right.
it particularly loud, trying to get other people's attention. She's like, "Oh,
Exactly.
here's a chance for me to to be
Well,
a knight."
that's my problem with the virtue signal, right? Like a virtue signal comes at the expense of someone else. You have to point out,
Yeah.
oh, they're the bad one, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
so like when you have a demand for bad ones, so that everyone can virtue signal off them, like people have a tendency to like
Yeah.
flip the truth just so they can create a bad one to have, you know?
Another bridesmaid defends me and tells the girl to chill out. Tori comes over and says me not taking it off is a slap in the face to her identity. I'm just shocked and had no clue what to do. Reducing your identity to your sexual identification. I mean, you're a lot more than your sexual identification. Your sexual preferences, your sexual appetites. Those don't define your personhood. They're not your identity. You're much more than just that. And that's the big problem I have with this whole movement. So it's a problem to my identity, and that becomes the shield that they hide behind is this is my identity. If you don't validate this, then you're calling me not a person, which is completely inaccurate. And it's just like it's a straw man kind of argument that they're basically using to attack you and call you a vicious they're calling you vicious for not showing them that respect, when I don't think that's what that's for in the first place. Pronouns and this kind of thing, your sexual identity is not a way that we convey respect. So eventually, Tori and a few girls left saying they felt it was disrespectful. I feel awful that this ruined a beautiful day for my friend. It's causing more trouble with people threatening to leave the wedding over discrimination towards me or towards Tori. I don't think I was in the wrong. Just as Tori can be Tori, I can be me. Right? So yeah, that's her identity. Exactly 100%. I 100% agree with that. Like Tori has no right, nor does anybody else there have any right to. I mean, like you would argue, you could easily make the argument that Tori being Tori. I mean, Tori's trying to be something other than just Tori. So Tori's trying to represent herself, as as something, get others to identify and perceive her as something that she wants to be perceived as, which is really, it's not something that she should have the right to do. If this person identifies with a particular religion or belief system, she has the right to dress however she wants. She's not even making demands of others, right? Like it's the others that are making demands of her. Remove your headscarf.
Yeah.
Totally on this girl's side. This girl is not the asshole.
She
pretty confident in saying that at this point.
She didn't go and demand that someone else do something, right? She
No.
she saw a situation, she made her own judgment, and for her own reasons, whatever they be, decided to keep her headscarf on that day. And it shouldn't matter to anyone else what her reasons are. And anyone who pries is just looking for trouble.
Yeah.
You just like that's
especially
it.
it's like the thing that bothers me the most is that like it's like in a world where I've made the argument, and I will continue to make the argument that we're losing the religious value system and the traditions that have really built our civilizations. The practices and traditions and values that emerged over huge periods of time and built functional societies, right? Like they actually served people. Where we've lost that, and now our society is really crumbling. There's very little cohesiveness between us. We're very individualistic, and now you have people. This is kind of like a new religion. It's something that people attach themselves to. Is this progressivism? It's taken on a form of a new religion. It's the community that we once had. With our religious institutions. Built around those, we're now getting through this online progressive community, all of this kind of the trans community, this and that. People want to belong. We need to belong to something bigger than ourselves, and this has kind of replaced that. And I don't think it's a healthy one, right? It's not one that stood the test of time. But where someone is exercising their religious freedom, like for this person to be made to feel like the asshole, it really kind of bothers me.
See, for me, it doesn't even have to be anything as significant as religion. I think someone walking, someone wears, let's say a sports team jersey in the wrong city. You know what I mean? Like no one has a right to demand you take off your jersey, and it's something as stupid as a sports team. Why is it all
Sure,
right to
sure.
demand a religious garment from someone else? You
Well, I
know
mean,
what?
you can draw a line where it's something like, okay, you can take a you can like, for example, the drag queen story hour stuff where like they're doing things that are inherently sexual, or at least society views them as very sexual, and they're introducing them to young children, normalizing a set of behaviors, um and exposing them to cultural beliefs and things which are, again, haven't stood the test of time, and I would argue are inappropriate. And I think a lot of people feel that way, and there's a reason why people feel that way. We don't sexualize children. We don't expose them to sexual stuff. They don't have the framework or the understanding or the experience in their lives through which to interpret or to understand what's going on there. And so to normalize things like that at that age, I mean, it can cause development. Like, it certainly has. It affects the way that people see themselves, the way that they develop. We should let children. We should certainly keep them insulated from the things that are going to change their development. You don't expose them to drugs at an early age, to that type of behavior. You don't expose them to crime. You don't expose them to sex. You let them develop on their own, become who they're going to be in as wholesome an environment as we can. I think that's probably a good thing to go for. Um, so when it comes to something like that, okay, you don't wear a thong in public. You don't expose your sex organs in public. I mean, there are things like that where it's like, okay, it's okay to draw that line. But when it comes to, like, wearing a headscarf, I mean, that's certainly not something that's inappropriate. Like, it's not something that needs to be deeply explained, or is going to have some type of jarring kind of effect on the children who see it, where
Yeah,
they're like, oh, I've never seen that before,
one
like.
of one of the takes that I have that I haven't seen anywhere else is like this lady is not just dealing with her own concerns, right? Presumably she has a husband, right? Presumably she's got a father. Presumably she might
She
have
wants to.
brothers,
She
and,
wants to
and
have
they
babies.
might
Maybe she
they
just wants
might
to.
they might find out. Let's say they find out that she was there at the bridesmaids thing, and she felt perfectly fine with it, but it took her hat off and whatever, and they had the evening or whatever, and then they get back, and then the pictures get out, and the family finds out that she removed her headscarf in front of a trans person, and then
Yeah.
they beat the ever living piss out of her. Like, who
Well, I mean,
knows
even
what she's doing?
and
You don't
you
know
know,
the people this lady's dealing with in her life. She
yeah,
made the decision that she thought was best for her, and that's
yeah, and
anything else
even
is none of your business, dude.
even if we obviously we wouldn't condone something like her being beaten for that reason by
No,
by
but
the
it
people
could happen.
by
We
the
don't
people who are in
know.
her life.
We
But
don't know if there is
that
someone
doesn't
like
even
that in
matter.
her life.
No, but it doesn't even
It
matter.
shouldn't
And I
even
mean,
matter. But
for the people who are going to say, oh well, she should just not talk to those people anymore. Fuck you. Those are people
try
that
going the
matter to
rest
her.
of your life without your husband or your
You
father.
know,
Try just doing it right
those are
now.
those are
Because
people
of
that
a
matter to her. Her community, her traditions, her religion, her values matter to her, and that's something that takes principle to stand up when there's a bunch of pressure on you being applied socially, for these progressive reasons. That's something that actually does take courage to jump on, like, the
Mhm.
socially acceptable opinion, and to just ride the wave of social norms, of whatever of social pressure. I mean, that's nothing that is honorable, that is commendable, or takes any level of courage.
Once
That's
again,
something that.
everything we have said is a moot point because of the nature of transgression. Okay,
Mhm.
and I've made this rant before, but we fucked up the sound, but we did a sound test and now it's all good, and I'm gonna give it to you again because the nature of transgression. Okay, how it works: you have two parties living in coexistence. They're perfectly happy living next to each other, not bothering each other. Then you have one party that goes to the other party and says, you must do something. And the other party doesn't want to do that thing. Well, now you've got a fucking problem. You've got a transgression. Okay? Now, this young lady in the story did not transgress upon
It
anyone.
depends.
All she
It
did
depends.
was keep her fucking headscarf on. Okay? It was other people
Hmm.
that transgressed here. It is the instigator in the crowd on behalf of someone else.
I want to make a distinction too, though, that, like, there are things that we consider socially acceptable, and that there's valid reasons to apply social pressure for. Like, we shouldn't tolerate things that are decadent or toxic or whatever. Things that we should aim as a society to try to keep things within the bounds of what is what is conducive for harmony and for health, like really to have healthy functions and for us to be able to get along. And so when someone is making an unreasonable request for something that doesn't affect them or anyone that like that's the main thing here.
Well,
It doesn't have to
a
affect anyone else.
request and a demand are two different things, right?
Well, I mean,
Like
like I said, there are things that are outside of the law. You can make a demand of someone not to do something because it's inappropriate. But in this case, that's not the case here. That's not what we're talking about. It's not something that's inappropriate. Now, some people might say that because it's the implication, because they're reading between the lines, and what they're saying is, oh, well, the implication here is that you're saying Tori is a man. Yeah, that's like it's not that that's the she is masculine and she doesn't want to take that risk because she's not going to try to slip a fast one, a quick one past her god, right? She's like, oh well, I don't know how, historically the traditions, whatever, this is a very new thing. I'm just going to play it safe and I'm going to keep my headscarf on. That's not doing anything to as it's not, she's not transgressing against this other person. She's trying to move past this and try not to even address it, right? Like she's trying not to make this an argument. And that's what the other people here are trying to do. They're trying to raise a stink by saying, oh well, by leaving your headscarf on, you're implying that Tori is a man. Which, I'm sorry, but Tori's a man. Tori can identify as a woman and she can say, you know what, I want to be perceived as a woman, and the people around who are close to her, who care about her enough to to play into that. I mean, sure, go for it. Whether or not it's healthy, that's a whole other conversation. Whether or not that's something that's going to work out in the long term for our society, it's a whole other conversation. But here we are. Okay, so I'm going to reread the last part. I don't think I was in the wrong. Just as Tori can be Tori, I can be me. I feel like it would be the equivalent of me making Tori or someone else adjust for me. Exactly. I feel like we should just accept and respect each other rather than be woke one-sided.
I don't know what that means.
Me neither. It's not really written in a way that's clear, but that's exactly what it says. Um, my question is more about being honest as to why I couldn't. Jackie is on my side, but Jackie's sister is giving her hell for it. Giving her hell for it. Um, saying she purposefully left out that detail in the guest list to test me. See, look at this. Like this is not good faith. Like if she's doing that to test you, like this is. You don't play these games with people. If you care about them and you want to get along with them, you don't play these games with people where you're trying to put little booby traps, set up little booby traps to stir bull.
And that's that's what I said earlier. That's the problem with the virtue signal, right? It always comes at the expense of someone else. Yeah. So
you're always trying to set a trap.
So the person making it has every incentive to fabricate one if they so choose. They can just like, oh, I don't know if you ever see the movie Bowfinger? Steve Martin's the director, and he's trying to get Eddie Murphy to act in this movie, and he doesn't know that he's acting in the movie, right? Well, he plays kind of like a Kanye-esque.
I remember that.
Kind of like a Kanye-esque character, okay? And so he's like, he refused to do a movie because he read the script and he realized that the amount of times that the letter K appeared in the script was divisible by 3. So the phrase KKK existed within the script like 2,763 times.
Oh, way.
Yeah. And so like, but that's the level of fucking reading between the lines that people are doing to like find shit that's wrong to like accuse other people of so they can virtue signal about it.
Yeah, and then make a big point about doing something publicly so that they can be the
hero
recipient
or whatever. And that's what we're reading right here.
Oh, what a compassionate person you are for standing up for people. When it's got nothing to do with compassion. They're trying to stand up and then get praised by other people. It comes from a place of selfishness.
Narcissism.
Yes. And that's more of it's speaking to the whole disease that is completely we're being subverted by culturally, like something that's just kind of infected us, this narcissistic personality disorder that's that's being exacerbated by the use of social media, wherein people are doing things for attention because getting likes on your shit online gives you a dopamine hit. And so like the more tuned into that you become, the more like you get into that feedback loop of post rewards, ding ding ding, you're looking at your phone, it's like, oh yeah, people are paying attention to me.
How I know I'm 40 is because I actually have to look around to figure out where my phone is. Like everyone else is just there. I can walk around, there's people fucking bumping into shit and it's fucking weird.
Jackie says I should have brushed it off and said I was having a bad hair day or avoided giving an answer. She's, again, if it's her faith, if it's her values, in whether or not it's, whether or not you agree with the mythology, whatever it is that's undergirding this belief system or this value system, these traditions that she has, she's not lying. She doesn't want to tell a lie. I don't think she's the asshole for telling the honest reason. And she didn't even say it. It was coaxed out of her by another guest who says, "Well, do you wear it around men? Okay, and you said you wanted to wear it tonight." Like, so.
Well, that's the problem here, right? I have a saying that I invented myself, and it's, you don't get to throw someone to the wolves and then complain that they killed your wolf. Okay? You just don't get to do it. So you set someone up in this scenario where you're trying to like get a gotcha on them because of their religion, and then they like handle it politely, but people still get mad anyway because you didn't do what they wanted you to do. Well, I mean, like, I'm sorry. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think did you like think you're 12D chess your way through this? Like you're just gonna walk in there and this person was just gonna do what you said because you said to do it? No, that's not the way life works. Yo, young lady, I would hire that young lady. She stood up for her right there, and she's like, "No, I'm not gonna let you bully me around." I would hire her if I had a job to give.
I didn't ever mention Tori's name in my answer, and I don't think my answer was rude. But seeing how much stress it's causing, I'm thinking I should have made up a lie? ? Am I the asshole for how I handled the situation?
No.
No, she's not. Info. A lot of people are having an issue with the woke one-sided comment. Okay, yeah, this is what we said didn't make sense. When I said no, Tori and a few others pushed it, and Tori gave the ultimatum that I have to take it off as a sign of respect or they would leave. I said no. They ridiculed me, my faith, and even the bride and others for defending me. They were blatantly hateful towards my religion, and Jackie's sister purposefully arranged for this to happen. Listen to this. Listen. Okay, so let me kind of get into this here. So they felt so entitled, so self-important about this that they decided they even were willing to make fun of the bride for defending her. This is not your day. Okay, Tori, Miss Tori, this isn't your day. It's not about you. You're supposed to be a good person, and you know what? You're there to honor someone else's special celebration, and you made it about yourself. You're the asshole.
The thing is, it's the bride's sister who made this happen. Purposefully arranged for all this to happen. The bride's sister sabotaged her sister's wedding. What a thing that a million fucking people have done.
Just for an opportunity to virtue signal. I mean, it's like what an empty fucking gesture.
Or was the virtue signal the opportunity to ruin the wedding?
I don't know. Well, anyway, the last point. From the religious standpoint, she wrote 4, but from the religious standpoint, I am not aware of where she is in transitioning or what her sexual preferences are. Shouldn't matter. I would never ask either. See, respectful, as this is personal.
Nice,
but that is information I would like before making a decision on how comfortable I feel with exposing my hair.
Fair.
And I wouldn't again, like.
And that's a concession on her part.
If this is a belief system, this is your faith, your belief system, and if this is something that you truly, you've devoted yourself to, and that you're living in accordance with, then probably the safe thing isn't to try to sneak one past your God by saying, oh well, maybe if she's gotten her penis removed, maybe that's not okay for Allah. Maybe maybe you're still gonna want to play it safe. None of it even matters because the point is she was being respectful, she was being courteous, considerate, and she was being she was being principled in her way of handling this, and she did it in a way that was as diplomatic as possible. And she got shit on in what was a setup by the bride's sister, and she was made to feel like she was the asshole in this situation where she clearly handled herself with dignity, grace, and principles.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So
is she the asshole? No. I didn't get pissed off this time. I
Justin?
I tried.
Are you boiled?
No, I'm not boiled.
Oh, good. So if I had to rate how boiled you are right now on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you rate yourself?
I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with me smoking a joint today.
Wait,
But
where would you rate yourself on a 0 to 10, Jay?
2, 3.
Good,
Yeah.
because we're
No.
about to read the comments.
Oh God. Okay.
All right, Justin, would you care to read the base comment out loud for everyone?
Okay. Base comment. Being uncomfortable undressing in front of someone is not bigotry. It's body autonomy and consent. No means fucking no. No one owes it to anyone to be comfortable taking their clothes off. And whether you have a different social standard for undressed is irrelevant. Imagine telling a person comfortable wearing a one-piece swimsuit that if they refuse to wear a bikini, they are a bigot. That's what you sound like. Based. This is a response to Am I the Asshole? No, not really. There's no reason to be uncomfortable around men. They're people just like anyone else. Okay, so okay, that's for you. Like this is something that's in line with her spiritual beliefs. Sorry, you don't get to tell her how to behave. The only thing that makes them different is being male, which means you're uncomfortable because they're male, which is being a bigot and not an ally. And now the response to that one is: would you say that to a woman who prefers to work out in a women-only gym? Like, I don't know, just the level of the level, it's the toxic tolerance, like the tolerance paradox. It's just like so tolerant that eventually you tolerate something that's not tolerant of you. You know what I mean? Like it's something that is you tolerate. Your beliefs are so tolerant that eventually you tolerate something or someone or a belief system which is completely intolerant with your own. So it's like you have to have lines. Things need to mean something. There has to be something, some type of restrictions, some type of constraints on what you're willing to tolerate. Otherwise, you're essentially you become intolerant. Like you're like it's just it's the paradox, man. It doesn't make sense. Okay, another comment. No one is mentioning about how her religion might not give a single F how Tori identifies. People are allowed to stand by their religions. You can say whatever you want, but apparently her religious indoctrination doesn't allow her to take off her headscarf around someone who was made as a man. I'm not any sort of religion, but these clashes are bound to occur among people who are. They should be handled with compassion, not like this. Also, phobic equals fear. Not, sorry, but my God considers you a man, so I have to behave in that way, even if I personally respect your identity. A luncheon is not the place to handle a crisis of faith. A wedding, this is a wedding reception. Like, this is definitely not a place to handle this type of thing. Um, but again, it's just like it speaks to the selfishness and narcissism of someone who's willing to take over someone else's platform, something that years of planning, possibly, years of this probably being part of the bride's dream, like her wedding day, something that she fantasized about for many years, and all the planning that went into this and everything. And yet you have these people who are willing to steal this platform and utilize this platform as an opportunity to grandstand and to make some type of politically divisive topic get in between everyone there and get in the way of everyone having a good time, and really what they're there to do in the first place: celebrate the bride's special day and the bride and the groom celebrate the wedding. Another comment. Oh, I don't know which this is responding to. I really love this answer. OP does get to decide when she feels comfortable removing her headscarf, but if her discomfort is based on transphobia, that needs to be examined. Just as Tori can be Tori, I can be me. Okay, that's what she was responding to. If you being you includes denying or rejecting who Tori is, that's bigotry, and including it as part of your identity does make you an asshole. But then, like, again, we're at the paradox tolerance, the paradox of tolerance thing here. So why is it okay for Tori to be Tory and demand to be accepted for that, but then she's not allowed to identify as herself? So both of their identities have some there are incompatibilities between them, because one identifies as a religious person who has a belief and value and tradition system that prohibits her from removing her scarf in front of men, and she doesn't feel comfortable, you know, just because you're changing pronouns and changing the way that you dress, she's not comfortable saying, oh, you know what, maybe my God, will be my God should be okay with that. I don't see a problem with it. So you have like these two beliefs that are rooted in their identity. One's a religious identity, and the other one is a sexual identity, a gender identity, and they're incompatible. And so, like, you can't, like, why is one taking precedence over the other? Why is one allowed to supersede as more important? And especially when it's something like, again, I don't agree with it at all. Like, but I mean, I'm definitely siding with the person who's trying to be respectful and principled at the same time, and go with her religion, and trying also not to make the day about her, trying not to make this an issue. And then I mean, it just really speaks to the type of people who are using this gender identity thing as a way of garnering attention for themselves. It's a way of painting themselves as a victim. It's a way of making themselves the center of attention, of calling everyone, of calling for everyone's sympathy, and it's narcissism. I don't believe that it's rooted in anything that's genuine. I think it's wholly bad faith. And anyway, I don't want to get too far into the weeds in this topic, but there's more to be said about that. But
well. I think that's about all the time we have for this subject. Jay, do you have any final words on...
A little more boiled than I was.
A little more boiled than you are? Yeah, I just can't understand how people cannot understand this, right? It seems like they don't really know how people are. They just kind of see a stack of identities on... What is it? What do they call it? The... Oppression Olympics, the hierarchy.
Oh yeah, the Oppression Olympics.
They just kind of follow that as a guide when they really have no idea. Like, they know,
and like, just to add a quick point, it's like, it's in Western societies that we became so liberal and so tolerant and so compassionate that, like, we were able to be I don't want to say subverted, but we were able to we became a target of this kind of stuff, where it's like victimhood became, like, we are so compassionate in Western civilizations that victimhood became a privilege, because there were so many people willing to rush to these people's sides. So it's ironic that this is taking place in Western civilizations where people are pointing the fingers, and it's like, these are the places where you're freest to be yourself. The problem that you're running into is when you start demanding of other people that, things that you don't have the right to demand. How you want to be perceived, you can't control how other people perceive you. You can't demand of them to pretend that they're to pretend, or to lie even, right? Like, because ultimately what you're asking them to do is lie. If it's something that they don't feel comfortable saying, that they don't feel is true within themselves, you're asking them to play by your rules, and you don't get to do that. No one's trying to tell them that they can't dress the way that they want, they can't act the way that they want. But the problem they run into is when they start making demands of others. That's the whole problem here. And again, this happens in Western civilizations, the ones that are the most multicultural, the ones that are the most tolerant, the ones where compassion is being used as a fucking weapon, where people are willingly victimizing themselves. What's that, like Munchausen syndrome? To Munchausen, people harming themselves so that they'll get attention. Things like this take place, and that's, I think, a huge contingent of this whole movement is probably and that's why you have a lot of people transitioning again afterward. They're detransitioning, is because they got swept up into this movement. They got made to feel special. They got made to feel included in like part of an exclusive group, and they realized that in the end that that they were just kind of making themselves sick. That they were harming themselves, or they were taking on something that was not healthy or was not genuine, and they got swept up in this emotionally, and they ended up fucking themselves up so that they could get the attention and be the recipients of sympathies and compassion from those around them. And that could only take place in the West, which is where people who are refusing to play by these rules, rightfully so. I think that they're allowed to be who they are. You're not allowed to enforce your identity on someone else and then demand that whatever identity they have, or they're being true to their own way of perceiving and interacting with the world, demand that they change that, because that's really who they are. They are they are the lens through which they're interpreting reality. Their identity is wound up in all of their memories, all of the observations, the generalizations, their lived experience. That's who they are. That those lived experiences and memories are the lens through which they're interpreting the world. Those become the identity. And for you to demand of someone else that they disregard all the things that they've learned and all the things that resonate with them to play to play make believe and to cater to pander to your the way that you want to be perceived. I mean, you can do things to be perceived a certain way, but you can't control the ultimate outcome. I mean, you can try to look like a nice guy, and then ultimately it comes off as being disingenuous or trying to be or forced or fake. And it's like some people will interpret it in one way, some people will interpret it another. You can't just be like, oh well, I was trying to be a nice guy, identify as a nice guy, so everyone you don't get to do that. It's not really a great analogy, but I think you can see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So
anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I am Grundy. Welcome back.
I am Jay. Welcome back. Yeah, hopefully it won't be so long for the next one.
Have a good day, and join us tomorrow. Well,
cheers.
We're going to be watching some weird stuff on the internet and laughing our asses off.
No, I'm probably still going to be wearing the same clothes because I'm going to try to do another. I want to do another episode now. So
really? Okay. Well, you guys have a grundalicious day.